Welcome back to the channel. My name is Tronage, and today we're going to be talking about FPV crate for May 2020. Lately, their boxes have been pretty darn good, and I'm hoping that trend continues. Want to check it out with me? Well, then you're going to have to stick around. Guys, it is now May 2020 box for FPV crate, and I'm super excited to get into this and looking through it. It sat through my little quarantine process. It basically kind of, maybe I'm a little bit overkill, but where I live in the vicinity of New York and New Jersey, I kind of live in northern Bergen County, which is sort of like, there's just a lot going on right now between the virus and between riots and everything. It's just kind of a crazy place to be living right now. But with that being said, I just try to take a few extra precautions. And one of that is when I get packages delivered, they sort of sit on a shelf and marinate for a little while, just so that in case there's anything that could be on it or around it or whatever, I, take those precautions for myself. And do you need to? That's up to you to decide. This is what I choose to do for myself. With that being said, here's what we're going to be doing, because I want to open this up. I want to see, because FPV crate's been giving us some good value lately. We got those motors in the last box, and that was pretty stupendous. Yes, stupendous. I kind of judged the boxes a little bit at the beginning just by the feel and the sound and the rattle, and this one doesn't have that like dense feeling like the last one does. It does have the sound like there might be a shirt in there, but it's not. It doesn't have that like weighty feeling. But I could be wrong. I'm just going by how my hands feel with the box in it. But overall, it should be a pretty cool unboxing. So here's what we're going to be doing. I'm going to bring you all in close. We're going to unbox this together. I'll give you my genuine opinions of what I see and what I think about these items. Then we'll do a cost analysis to see really what's it worth, what it costs for you to buy it, and we'll compare it to the other boxes that are available and see which provides the most value. And then I'll give you my thoughts on them and just see like what are each of these items and all that fun stuff. But before we do any of that, slam that subscribe button. While you're at it, hit that bell icon. It makes finding my videos a whole heck of a lot easier, helps support the channel, and it keeps you in the know when I post videos like this one. So please go and hit that subscribe button. While you're at it, if you're liking what you see here, hit that like icon. That'll help me out. And if you don't like it, then hit that thumbs down don't like button. Just hit something down there. It'll help me out. It'll help me gauge these videos so that I can tailor them to you guys. All right, come on in. Let's crack it open. Shazam! All right, guys. We got the FPV crate. We give it the little flipperoo. The box is a little bit smushed up. I guess that's just what happens when things get shipped. But let's cut this oh so buttery. Oh, Batteryy label. There we go. We're cut open. We give it a little pre-open. We get it flipped around. Are you ready? I know I'm ready. Let's do this. Alright, so I'm going to take away this stuff first, because that's always might be a spoiler. So we got our sticker sheet. Mine came pre-bent, as you can see. It kind of got hung up in that flap. But pretty cool. I'm digging these frequency table ones. That's always a pretty cool thing to have. Very handy. Usually have one of these in my wallet, but having a little sticker you can stick on something is even better. All right, so then we move on. We have a little bit of packing material here. We'll just get rid of that. And we got some Ethics props. These are the watermelon flavored ones. They are the S3s. We've gotten these before. They're tried and true. Can't go wrong with a little set of Ethics props. They are by HQ, in case you didn't know. And they're the S3s in watermelon flavor. And oh, look what we got. Get this packing material out of the way. I'm gonna save that. I'm gonna skip right into this. We have the Omnibus light. And look, it's got like a pre-cut action to this, which makes me think it's gonna be set up for this. So what do we got here? What are they calling it? The Omnibus Light Universal Sticky. But it's got this little pre-cut template in the sheet, and it's the light version. That's the one that's a little bit thinner than the regular version, which is a little bit thicker. But I am very intrigued by this little die cut action in that sticky pad. So let's see. Let's crack. Oh, there's something else under here too. Ooh, okay, well, we'll come back to that since I pulled this up first. So what do we got here? Okay, we got the, let's see here. Stark frame. It says FPV crate on the side here. Just says freestyle airframe. All right, cool. So we got basically a frame in here. I don't really see much like a sticker or anything, but there you go. We got the Stark airframe. It's the STK V1 5-inch frame written here. Pretty cool stuff. I'm anxious to check that out. And then what's this little other thing I didn't even know was in here? This is interesting. TBS footage cradle. What the heck is a footage cradle? I am not familiar with what that is. Let's open this guy up and see what this is. Oh, okay. It's an SD card holder. That's what it is. Okay. So it's for the little micro SDs, not the standard SD cards. So if you're basically, you got your GoPro going on and you have the little mini SD cards that you stick in here, this can be sort of like, you know, if you're going to go on a long day of flying, you can have a whole bunch of SD cards here that you rotate through, and this is sort of just a holder to keep them all in place as you're going along. So it's kind of cool, although me personally, I don't know that I would necessarily use this, because when I come home, I basically dump all my footage and I buy big SD cards, so they never really have filled up on me. All right, so to recap, that's it, right? Yep, we're empty. All right, so we got the SD card holder. We got the Stark airframe 5 inches. We got the Umagod light, I'm guessing pre-die cut to fit this frame, which would make sense to me. We got 3 sets of Ethic props in the watermelon flavor, and we got the sticker sheet. Let's run some numbers and see what this comes out looking like. All right, guys, before we get started, I realized I left my little on the air sign off in the previous clip, so I turned it back on. Not that you really care, but I kind of like it, so just wanted to point that out, you know, just in case. However, I ran the numbers, done my little homework, and put things together, so let's take a look at that right now. So we'll go through these line by line and talk about each of these items. So first up, we got those Ethics props, and in case you're not familiar, these are basically a 5031 HQ prop that bears the Ethics logo and comes in like a pink and green color like that, so that it, you know, is basically like the watermelon type flavor, color scheme, whatever you want to call it. And these, you know, HQ brand is definitely one of the props that is my go-to brand, and they're basically just all around great props. Next up, we got that Umagrip Lite, which is the thinner version of the Umagrip. It's basically a sticky type material pad that you put down on your top plate so that your LiPo battery will sort of stick down, doesn't slide around, doesn't move, won't jettison in a crash. And the idea is that it goes between your quad and your pack so that when you wrap your battery strap around, remember, when you wrap a battery strap around your LiPo pack, it can still slide side to side. You don't have like a strap going this way and a strap going that way. So regardless of how tight you make it, there is a little bit of give still. And in a crash, if you start cartwheeling and spinning really fast, you can have a situation where that LiPo will slide out and forcefully unplug itself, and off it goes flying off somewhere. And then you're out looking for a LiPo in addition to having a crashed quad. So having these sticky pads are great because it really locks that LiPo in place so that you don't have to worry about it going anywhere. And it's a nice little touch that this has been die cut to fit the included frame, so that this way you have a battery pad ready to go for your frame. Although I will say, as a countermeasure to that, it also makes this piece of Umagrip very specific to this frame. So let's say, for example, you decide, you know, I don't really want this frame, I'm going to sell it, I'm going to give it away, but I'd like to keep that Umagrip for maybe one of my other builds. It's going to be difficult now because it's already pre-cut to fit this frame. So it's sort of like a good and a bad at the same time, but it's still thoughtful that they did that nonetheless. That brings us to the Footage Cradle by Team Black Sheep, and here's my opinion on this guy. So they're selling it for about $8, and if you go onto Amazon and you just put SD card holder and you type that in, you'll find so many different SD card holders that are about the same price point, but they look way more robust in that it's not just a piece of plastic that they're stuck in, but it's an actual case with padding and a zipper so that they're shock proof and they don't get jostled around. And you know, they just looked a little bit better for the price, but that seems to be a common price for these. And I see it making sense just in the general scheme of things. Like if you're a photographer or you're going to go out and you're going to be shooting a lot of pictures, a lot of video, and you need to keep swapping out cards because you're out on a shoot, and you have 5 or 6 cameras that you're rolling, and each one's going to use about 2 or 3, you know, memory cards. Then it makes sense to have these cases kind of thing. Or if you're the type of person who never offloads, you just keep it on the memory card and you store the memory cards instead of putting it onto your computer or something, then that makes sense too. In our hobby, at least for my sake, I'm looking at it as we're just using the GoPros to do our flight footage. And I'm kind of sure everyone, when you come home from flying, you take your cards and you usually offload. You don't just like take your card and go, okay, here's today's flights, now let me archive that. So having a card that holds 10 memory cards into it, I don't know that it's really something necessary. And it might be, if you're someone who's into that, let me know in the comments down below what your workflow or your method of doing things is. I'd be very curious to hear your story. But I think for the most of us, we kind of just have the one memory card that lives in the camera. You use it for the day, you come home, you copy all of it off onto your computer, you watch through some of it, you delete most of it because most of it's just either junk or not worth saving. You save 1 or 2 files and then you put the empty card back into your camera for the next time. At least maybe that's how I do it, and that's how the people I, talk to do it. But maybe there's other people out there that don't. You save all these memory cards, and you would have 10 memory cards floating around. I don't have any memory cards floating around. They're in the camera. I take them out, transfer, back in the camera. It's never out of the camera storage, just sitting somewhere. So I don't think that there's a use for it, but maybe there is. So if you do use this, let me know down below. Now, lastly is this frame, and this frame puts a giant mega question mark on the whole thing. Why is that? Because there is no price. You can't necessarily, at least at the time of filming, go and buy this right now. I cannot find it anywhere. I cannot find it on the FPV Crate website. I can't find it on just any website at all. I can't find it. So you can't say, well, what is this price? What I can find is the T-Motor FT5 frame. And the box looks almost identical. And the frame, I won't say looks identical, but it's pretty close. Like, you could have the same base drawing and then just change some of the drawings to have different carbon cut, and it sort of follows the same kind of idea, if that makes any sense. So what I'm trying to say here is, we already know that FPV Crate has a relationship with T-Motor. We already know that they work hand in hand. We already know that they've been releasing versions of their electronics with the FPV Crate logo on them. So being that is the case, it seems only natural that if T-Motor has a carbon fiber frame coming out and FPV Crate's working hand in hand with them, they say, hey, let's take a little, can we take your design, tweak it up a little bit, change some of the cuts, whatever, and we'll make our version. And, oh, you already have this box already designed and laid out. All right, well, can we just put our logo on that? And we'll change, instead of calling it FT5, we'll call it the STK. It's like so much similarity. I mean, look, why is this important? This is important because that frame by T-Motor is a $50 frame. And in all honesty, comparing the two of them, I think the T-Motor version is kind of better. It has a few more features that I feel like the STK version sort of omitted. So that, for example, like the legs have the slot so you can slide them out to replace them rather than having to take all the screws out. It has this middle section of the top plate that comes out so you can work on your stack without having to take the whole thing apart. So you just take the center part out. So it's got a lot of different little features that the STK version is lacking. So I would say it's not even a $50 frame. I would put it more in the class of maybe less than that. It kind of, I don't want to say it's sort of like the Flight 1 frames, but I don't know. I don't know what to do with it, but I know it's definitely $50 or under in price. Now here's where that comes in. Here's the problem. Because it's not available anywhere and you can't find it anywhere and you can't find prices anywhere, FPV Crate can just say, well, this is a $70 frame, this is a $100 frame, this is a $20. They can make whatever price up they want, and that skews what the value is that they're providing in their box. That's why I've said this before. I don't like vanity products. If they just put the T-Motor version of the frame in the box, then we know what we're getting. But by taking a vanity version and changing it a little bit and then putting an FPV logo on it, it only really hurts us, the consumer, because we really don't know what we're getting. And you're kind of hiding that, because if you would have put on there, like, you know, Stark STK frame, you know, powered by T-Motor or something, then it makes me say, oh, okay, this is a T-Motor frame. They did their own little special edition, cool deal. But you look on that box, T-Motor's not listed anywhere on that box, but it is on the T-Motor box. So I feel, not that they're doing anything wrong, I just feel like they're being a little sneaky, not really telling us what we're getting and not really offering us the information that we would need. Also, they were tooting and hooting and whatnot on the emails that this box, this May box, was going to have over $100 in value. Now, if we look at my chart over here, we're not at $100, and I'll show you, because by the UMA grip has a price I can look up. The props have a price I can look up. The Team Black Sheep card holder has a price I can look up. The only thing that doesn't have a price is that frame. And in order to make this box be over $100, so let's say 101, just to like be technical, it means that frame has to be like a $75 frame. Is that frame a $75? Honestly, think about it. Is that frame a $75 frame when you can buy the T-Motor one with more features that looks better? In my opinion, for $50, no, I'm going to buy the $50 frame. In fact, I'll probably buy like the $25 frames, because remember, once you get above like that $25 to $40 realm, you start getting into those like Armatons and the Aliens and all those kind of like high end that you're trying to compete with. And you're saying, my brand new frame is equal to those. No. So that's why that price is marked in that little highlight orangey color there, is because there's no price at the time of this filming. However, the nearest competitor comparable would be the T-Motor's frame, and it is $50 that you can go buy right now. And that's the price that I'm going to assign to this frame. In fact, I think it should be a little lower, because I feel the T-Motor one is more features, more design. I'm sure as far as the carbon goes and the cutting goes, it's probably all the same, because it's made by the same thing. It's probably just how they cut it. And they probably just took the features of the one and took them away, so there was more of a base model. So, whatever. It doesn't matter. The point is, it's at least a $50 frame. Honestly, I think it's probably about like a $30 frame or so, but I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt and call it a $50 frame, which if you look down at the bottom now, that means that the total value of this box is only like $13 and change. Like, this is supposed to be like a $100 value box. By my calculations, it comes up to being about a $73 box, and by the time you pay for the box and you pay to ship the box, you're only coming out like $13 a head. That's not something you should be tooting around as being $100 in value. So I was really psyched and pumped for this box, especially coming off of that motor box that was really high in value. And it shouldn't be unexpected, because for all the good, there are gonna have to be some bad ones. And I mean, the contents of this box are fine. Don't get me wrong. I'm gonna use the frame. I'm gonna use the props. I'm gonna use that UMA grip pad. The SD card holder, probably not going to use, probably just going to give that away or something along those lines. I don't really have a use for that myself, but it's decent product in here, so I don't feel ripped off. However, my baseline is, if I'm not picking what I want to have, I need to get at least $20 of value to sacrifice my choice, because this is a mystery box. I need to get about $20 in value to allow me to sacrifice my choice that I'll put up with getting something I may not want or need. And we're at $13. So they did not make my baseline mark to be like, cool, awesome. There, what I usually say is anything under $20, I start to feel gypped and ripped off because I feel almost taken advantage of. Especially since they had an email and they're saying how this is $100 in value. I don't see $100 in value here. If you would have put an Armatan rooster frame in this box, then maybe we have some value here. That's not what's in this box right now. You know, you have a T-Motor spin-off frame that no one's ever heard of, nor tested, nor really tried and trued. And in all honesty, the T-Motor one looks like a better frame comparing the two side by side. So why would I buy yours for $70 if I can buy the T-Motor one for $50? And the T-Motor one, it's like, I just feel like the T-Motor one just looks a little nicer. And if I had to pick between the two, I would pick the T-Motor one. So I wouldn't spend it more than $50 because you get what I'm saying. So overall, I'm going to say this box is pretty poor in value. Yes, we're coming out ahead. I mean, a really poor box would be negative, like you didn't even make. This has some value. Don't get me wrong, there is $13 worth of value remaining here. However, if you take out that SD card holder, which is really no use to me, that's like $8 there. What I come out like $5? I could have just picked my own things that I wanted to purchase and been at the same price point. And I could have picked the exact props that I may have wanted. I could have picked the exact grip pad that I wanted. I could have used the UMA grip without a die cut of it and had a different frame that I wanted for this $50 price point. I could have got the T-Motor frame, which I would rather have than this frame, and spent the same amount of money. So it's almost, even though it's a $13 value, personally, it almost feels like a break even. So that's my evaluation on this. As I said, most of this is opinion because there is no value labeled for the STK frame right now at this time of filming. However, if it's anywhere more expensive than the T-Motor frame, I would just buy the T-Motor frame because it looks better. And if it's less than the T-Motor frame, well, then that just means that my cost analysis it turned out to be worse than I'm saying. So I don't know where this stands and where this puts us, but I will say if there is any updates as we go along in my next video when I go to compare or unbox for the quad box, I'll be updating accordingly, just like I did with the shirt, which, by the way, I will notice that there was no shirt in this box, and I'm kind of happy about that because FPV Crates shirts weren't doing so good on the quality end of things. So I'm glad there wasn't a shirt in here, even though I said in the beginning it felt like there was a shirt in there, but I really think it was just a lot of this packing material. There was just a lot of it in there, which is good. I'm glad that there was a lot of packing material in there and it keeping everything secure. But I think that's what I heard rustling around that I thought may have been a shirt. Which, by the way, if there was a shirt in here, then they might have actually salvaged the box, because even a crappy $12 print-on-demand shirt would have brought the total value over $20, and then I would have been giving it a thumbs up. However, not so much this time. So I hope to help you out. Got you some good information, got you a good look at what's inside this box, what kind of value you can come to expect from these different boxes, and I'm really super excited, and I can't wait to see what Quad Box has to offer, because this is not one box that's going to be hard to beat, I would think. So hopefully when that box comes in, I'll get that review out to you guys and we can take a look at it and see really how things are shaping up as we approach the middle of the year per se. All right. So as always, my name's Tronage. Fly strong.